Adam Dalglish's investigations have uncovered the letters from Venezuela which Sally Jupp left with Derek Pullen, a local boy hopelessly in love with her. Her uncle, Victor Proctor, whom she was blackmailing, has admitted his visit to her on the night she was murdered. Stephen Maxey, who was engaged to Sally, has concealed crucial evidence concerning his own whereabouts. His sister Deborah has told their mother, Eleanor Maxey, that she suspects Stephen of Sally's murder. Deborah herself has been attacked.
Anyway, what it all boils down to is that the local CID seemed to think it was an intruder who tried to kill Deborah.
The local CID? Didn't you call Dalglish?
He was called back to London unexpectedly. Due back any minute now.
Deborah must have put up a terrific fight.
Yes. Well, she wouldn't be alive now, would she? You weren't easy to locate in London. Were you out?
I can't have heard the phone. I was trying to catch up with some sleep. And then I was off in the woods again anyway.
Ah, that must have been it, of course.
Deborah will be down in a moment. Are the police not back yet?
No, still waiting.
Hello, Stephen.
Hello?
Any coffee left?
Yeah, it should be. You look a bit shaken yourself, Kathy.
Kathy? No one ever calls me Kathy.
Do you mind?
Doesn't sound like me.
I'm sorry, I was just trying to be friendly. Is that bad?
Not bad. Just odd timing.
You mean because of Deborah? But Felix said she was all right. She's all right, isn't she?
Why should someone from outside want to kill Deborah? You know, without much sleep, one starts to imagine all sorts of things.
You needn't have come down.
No, I would rather. Who's with Daddy?
Martha. Oh, I'm so glad you could get here this morning.
Well, I wasn't given much choice, really, but yes, of course, I had to come. Hello.
Hello.
Looks like Dalglish driving in.
Oh, I hope so.
Yes, it's odd how...
What?
Well, I don't like the man, but one can't help feeling relieved that he's in charge.
I'd better go and let him in. Keep up the pretense that this is still a private house.
John, if what you suspect is true, I'll have to get on to MI6.
Shall I do it?
No, I will. I have to go through the commissioner to get information like that out of the Foreign Office. Ah, Mrs. Maxey. Good morning.
Good morning. I suppose you've heard about the attack on my daughter?
Yes, has your son arrived from London yet?
About half an hour ago.
Good. Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Mrs. Riskin? Are you all right?
Yes, thank you.
May I see?
Yes, of course. And did you expect to see anything different, Superintendent?
The attacker entered your room while you were asleep, half suffocated you with a pillow, and then tried to throttle you with his free hand.
Yes.
He then escaped by the window.
Yes. Do you find that amusing?
No, far from it. Dr. Maxim, have you examined your sister's throat?
No.
Would you do so now, please?
I don't see the point in this.
Don't you?
No, the point is that someone got in here last night and could do again.
I disagree. Oh, what do you think?
No lesions. Larynx is almost untouched, and these bruises, well, they should fade in a day or two.
Longer than that for her to get over it.
So no permanent damage has been done?
No real physical harm, in my opinion.
And did you look at Miss Jupp's neck? Do you think the bruising is similar?
Well, what are you driving at?
Well, I'm not an expert, but I don't think there's any similarity at all. The person who attacked you knew what they were doing, knew how and where to apply pressure and when to stop.
I don't know what you mean. If I hadn't struck...
Well, this was a professional attack made to look amateur.
Well, it seemed expert enough to me. Perhaps next time we'll make a better job of it, satisfy the police.
I agree with Deborah. If she hadn't managed to get free and cry out, she wouldn't be alive now. And whoever it was tried to kill her before last night. Don't forget that the sleeping pills were put into Deborah's mug on the night Sally died.
I hadn't forgotten or who had access to them. Where were you last night?
Mrs. Maxey and I took it in turns to nurse Mr. Maxey. I just got back to my room when I heard Deborah scream.
I see, and you were in London?
Correct. And I was in my room with no alibi at all.
And you didn't manage to see the attacker?
No, I was asleep. I thought I was having a nightmare. And then I realized it was happening. Pillow over my face, a hand at my throat. I kicked, I tried to scream, and I couldn't. And suddenly the hand let go, and I was aware of somebody moving towards the window. That's when I screamed. The next minute, there was Catherine and Mummy. That's right, isn't it?
Yes.
And then me. You could see how she must have struggled.
This house has been under continuous surveillance since last Sunday.
Round the clock?
I say continuous, Mr. Hurst. No one was observed entering or leaving it after 11 o'clock last night.
You mean someone inside the house tried to strangle Deborah?
In a sense, yes.
What do you mean, in a sense? Someone definitely did try. And if no one could have got in here unobserved...
Exactly. The attack on Mrs. Risco was meant to deceive and distract me.
Deceive?
Yes. They wanted it to look as though an outsider had tried to kill her.
Well, then who?
Yes, all right. Game's up. Charade's over. The answer is me. Just me. I persuaded Deborah against her better judgment to stage this little sideshow.
Why?
No, don't listen to him, any of you. It's no use, Felix. I persuaded him to do it while Stephen was in London because... Well, because we felt that... Well, I felt...
What? What?
Your sister wanted to protect you for some reason from my investigation. Mr. Hurst should have refused to help her.
I should, but I didn't.
John, take them to the police station, will you?
Are we under arrest?
You'll both be charged with wasting police time. Take them, John.
Deborah?
That's right, Catherine.
Deborah!
Dr. Maxey, I'd like a word with you.
Me? Well, surely I've nothing more to tell you.
You won't be going back to London today, will you, Miss Bowers?
No, I'm staying. I find it very difficult to believe that Deborah and Felix planned all this.
Do you?
You think the worst of everyone, don't you?
If you wanted to talk to
I'm
me...
sorry. I'm holding you up. Excuse me.
Do you think I haven't got any feelings at all? It's my father upstairs who's dying. My sister you cheerfully cart off to the local police station to be charged with some ridiculous...
Dr. Maxey.
Look, what do you want to ask me?
You visited the Select Book Club yesterday afternoon.
Oh, you've got that under surveillance too, have you? We do live in a police state.
Why did you go there? Answer the question, please.
No, I refuse. I won't be bullied in my own house.
Tell me, did you seriously intend marrying Miss Jupp?
Yes. You've doubted that from the first, haven't you?
Yes. Now, what was your reason for visiting the book club?
I went there to ask Miss Mopas if she had any idea about Sally's child, who the father was.
I see. Why didn't you tell us you were also in the vicinity of the book club the day Stavros Voulidis was killed?
I didn't think it was relevant to your inquiries. Well, not at the time. It didn't even occur to me. I went to see our solicitors, if you must know. They're close by.
No, that was the day before. We've checked.
Well, all right. So I got the day wrong. I mean, I'm always in the area. I passed through it on my way to the station. Look, I never knew Vouludis. I only knew what Sally told me about him, so why should I kill him? My God. I mean, come to that, what about Deborah? Has she told you how I found her waiting up for me the night of Sally's death?
Go on.
She hasn't told you? I see. Well, we talked for half an hour. She was...
Yes.
It's not important. I was going to say she was upset. She was in a state.
Are you saying you think your sister killed Miss Jupp?
No, of course I'm not. How could I think such a thing?
What did you talk about?
My engagement, of course. She was very
confess
against.
to you that she killed her?
No, she did not.
So when did you guess, then or later?
Look, what are you trying to make me say?
Ah, just in time. What for? Take me back to the station. I need privacy to make that call to the commissioner. He'll need a lot of persuading before he'll hustle MI6 for classified information.
Well, that caused some embarrassment down at the station. Superintendent Daniels charged both of them.
Good. How absurd. Did she really think she'd get away with it? I mean, what was her motive? By pretending her attacker was an outsider, it implies she believed Sally Jupp's killer was one of the family.
Yes, but which one?
I don't know. I've just been speaking to Stephen Maxey. He wants me to believe it was his sister.
You said he might.
Come in. Oh, it's you.
You don't sound exactly amazed and delighted to see me. Can't we be friends again?
Friends? We were lovers once, or had you forgotten? I haven't. But it doesn't really matter anymore.
I was wondering, what did you tell the police about the night Sally died?
I told them the truth, as far as I knew it.
You've tried to implicate me.
Wrong. I've been trying to resist the idea.
Have you? Some people might think it odd how you've been so concerned about Jimmy. I've noticed how you keep going over to St. Mary's just to see how he's getting on with Rosie. Is that the girl's name?
I happen to like babies. Jimmy's very sweet, and I'm sorry for him. Who wouldn't be?
Are you sorry for him, really? Or is it more like guilt?
You've a very odd way of trying to be friends.
You know, you've changed. Become much stronger. I'm sorry I've been so rotten to you.
When you came in, I was just about to pack. I want to leave today.
For God's sake, Catherine, I've apologized.
And I suppose you think that makes everything all right.
You wouldn't have stayed until now if you hadn't still cared for me. I don't believe you.
Poor Stephen. You can't conceive of anyone falling out of love with you. You know, in all the years I've known you, I've never noticed how boring you've become. The first time I met you, how old were you? 12? You were so quick, so eager, so interested in everything. You rushed around doing everything at the double. It was hard to keep up with you. But it's all gone. You've become so limited you can't see outside yourself. How stupid I've been. Well, it was my fault as much as yours. And now I'm going to pack.
Catherine, give me another chance, please.
You only think you want me now because it seems that you can't have me. It was the same with Sally. You wanted her elusiveness. Poor Sally.
Martha, I'll take over now.
Might as well be me as you, Mum. You don't know nobody now.
The police want another word with you.
Well, me? My sakes, whatever for? Shan't talk to you. Not in this room.
No, of course not. The superintendent will interview you downstairs, Martha.
Oh, very well.
Oh, she's getting very determined. More than ever.
Yes, I know.
I've said all I need to say to you. When I say a thing, I mean it too. But don't say I'm righteous, but I do say I'm right. My age, that's allowed. Lost your tongue, Superintendent?
Was Sally the only one to drink cocoa at night?
That's right. Hot milk for the others.
So it was safe for you to crush Mr. Max's sleeping pills into a powder and actually mix them with the cocoa in the tin?
If you say so.
And as you nursed Mr. Max, you of course had access to them.
They were always in the bathroom cupboard.
Tell me, why did you drug her night after night?
Don't make any odds. She's dead now.
You wanted her dismissed, didn't you? You resented her. Felt too old to be a nanny again? Besides, the baby was illegitimate, wasn't it?
Hussy. A right hussy with her beckoning eyes.
And so you wanted her discredited?
And out of my kitchen.
When did you start drugging her?
Second night after she come.
When she overslept, did Mrs. Maxey notice?
I made sure she did. Told, madam. She should never have come here, putting us all about.
When Sally was killed, you panicked, didn't you? You still had some of the sleeping pills left, but instead of putting them back in the cupboard, you hid them in the wrapping paper Mrs. Risco left by the dustbins.
That's right. I weren't thinking straight.
And you emptied the rest of the cocoa into the stove and then thoroughly washed the tin.
Oh, yes, and I told you why. Madam won't have dirty tins.
Yes, but you also needed to get rid of all trace of the sleeping pills.
All right. It wasn't me killed her. All right, I tried to make her oversleep, but I never...
You quarrelled, didn't you? Very soon after Sally came here.
Who told you that?
She did. Don't forget we've already interviewed her twice. Before she was killed.
Oh, because she found them other pills?
That Mr. Maxey was hiding, yes, she told us.
And I told her it was none of her business. I said to her, if she had to lie there year after year, maybe she'd like to think she had it in her power to end it all. See, I knew Mr. Maxey wouldn't take them. Oh, no. He's a gentleman. I said to her, any more interference from her and I'd have her out. Her and her brat.
That's what you told her?
Yes. And did she tell you what she called me then? Did she? Telling me I was a hypocrite. That I didn't care nothing for the family. And I've loved them all for years. Saying it was pitiful. The way I babied the master. And other things I couldn't repeat. She were a viper. So don't you tell me she didn't deserve to die. She did. Yes, she did.
No, it's...
Shall I get it?
Yes, please, John. No wonder you wanted to kill him. It's okay.
Hello, my name's Richie. I've come to see my wife.
Your wife, sir?
Yes, she works here. Sally, and my little boy. I'm James Ritchie. I only arrived at Heathrow a couple of hours ago.
Excuse me, I couldn't help her.
Miss Bowers, are you thinking of leaving?
Well, I can, can't I?
Look, I've just flown halfway across the world.
Yes, I know, sir. Hold on.
There's no need to be so formal.
Miss Bowers, I shall have to clear your going with the superintendent.
Are you a policeman?
Yes, I am.
But why? I mean,
Can we talk inside? Miss Bowers, the chief's in the kitchen. Would you get him, please?
What's the problem?
Thank you, Miss Bowers. Mr. Ritchie, we've been trying to trace you.
I've been working abroad.
Yes, we know Venezuela.
How do you know that?
Why did you fly back?
The last 2 letters I received from Sally, she sounded worried. I've taken leave. Why do you ask?
Mr. Ritchie, your wife's dead.
What?
And we have reason to believe that it's murder. Yes.
Murder? When?
Last week.
What about the boy?
Oh, he's safe. He's at St. Mary's.
God. Would you like to sit down?
No, thank you.
Derek Pullen showed me the letters you wrote to your wife. That's how I knew.
They were meant to be private for her.
Yeah. It was my duty to read them. I am sorry.
Was she buried? Who killed her? I'll kill him. Thanks for showing me the grave. Anything I can do to help, I will.
I'm sure you'll be able to tell us a great deal. We're going to see your baby first. When you get back from St. Mary's, call at the police station. If I'm not there, somebody will know where to find me, okay? Right.
What I still don't understand is why Sally Jupp pretended to be unmarried.
I hope that's the file from MI6.
Are they going to charge you?
They have.
Wasting police time.
Why did you do it?
Funnily enough, to try and help you.
To help me. I wish I could believe you.
Now, leave it, Stephen.
Ah, you walk in here as if you owned the place.
Mr. Hurst, may I speak to you, please?
Here?
On your own.
Felix.
It's all right, my darling. Pas de problème. Everything under control. No sweat. Dining room all right?
Oh, that'll be fine, yes. Having been captured by Ilka, you broke down under interrogation.
They used various devices, yes. But that was years ago. Who cares about the Cyprus troubles now?
And Stavros Voulidis supervised this interrogation.
From his hideout in the Troodos Mountains. Chief torturer and interrogator. He combined ops, you might say. Charmer.
And as a result, you betrayed 3 Greek contacts who were later murdered by Ilka.
You have been talking to the right people.
You never forgot him, did you?
No. Nor does time soften the memory.
In fact, for several years after independence, you tried to track him down. Despite official disapproval by MI6.
Told you that, did they? Yes, let bygones be bygones, they said. Anyway, I failed. Never found him.
Until?
What? All right. All right, I did find him. Did find bloody Voulidis. By sheer chance, would you believe it? Doesn't matter much if you don't. It's true. One lunchtime. Passed him in the street, just like that. By St. Paul's. There was no question in my mind, nor his. He knew the minute I clocked him. Oh, yeah. He knew all right. I followed him. A select book club. Girl with a baby, Sally. They chatted. I waited. They went in. I went in. Found him in the basement. All I said was, Veludis? He tried, of course, to pretend he didn't know what I meant, but his eyes gave him away. He didn't resist overmuch. All the old training came back. But I did allow myself the luxury of assuring him before I'd completely throttled the life out of him that this was to do with certain incidents in the Troodos Mountains back in 1959. That's when his nose began to bleed and his knees buckled, as they invariably do. Textbook, the whole thing. I told myself I was still killing for my country, but that was quite untrue. I was doing it for me. And believe me, it was a pleasure, strangling Stavros bloody Veludis. That's when I heard footsteps on the stairs, Sally Jupp's. I managed to drag the body out through the fire door. She came through to investigate, must have heard something. But I was behind the book stacks by then, got away up the stairs while she was still with the body. I told myself she couldn't possibly have seen me, that by sheer luck I'd been given the chance to commit the perfect revenge. I read the papers, very brief item. But it did mention that the girl who discovered the body came from here in Chadfleet. Small world, what? But now the thought of her bothered me. Perhaps she had seen me after all. I had to know. So I called Deborah, who was cool because I hadn't been in touch for months, writing a book. I wangled invitation for the weekend and found Sally not only in Chadfleet, but here in this house, would you believe? She gave nothing away. Had she seen me? Had she? You came down to question her. Would she lead you to me? Well, finally I decided I couldn't risk it, so I killed her. You know the rest. I'm sorry. Well, about Sally, I mean, not that bastard. I shall plead guilty on both counts, no problem.
But there is, Mr. Hurst. You see, I don't believe you.
Are you short of money?
And time. Do you think you could get me on a private flight, one of those business flights of yours?
Going where?
It doesn't matter. As long as it's abroad.
Are you in trouble for political reasons? No, I've worried about you.
I thought we agreed to disagree about politics.
Well...
Anyway, that's not the trouble. I'm afraid, because after I split up from Stavros, I found out that some of his friends are quite dangerous people.
That was a shock to you?
Of course.
Well, you hadn't completely split up.
We still saw each other. What do you mean?
Why don't you come down and stay with me in the country? Nobody would know where you were.
Yes, they'd know. They'd find out.
What about your friend, Marcus?
He's been arrested.
Was that bad for you? What's he charged with?
Shooting a policeman.
There's nothing in it.
There's no justice for people like us.
Could he implicate you?
Possibly.
But you're both innocent.
Yes. Are you going to help me?
Well, I've helped you up to now, and you've never misled me, have you?
What do you mean?
I mean, third world relief.
It's exactly as I told you. Relief funds can often get delayed by red tape, by bureaucracy. With your help, I've been able to bypass all that. I explained it all to you.
Yes, you explained it all, but I only half believed you even then. Look, this money came from drugs, from Veludis. I think you might have considered me and thought about the risk to me in my position before involving me.
I thought about it, yes.
Taking money from drugs, didn't it bother your principle?
I had nothing to do with the drugs.
Except taking the profit, of course.
If someone invests in your companies, do you always ask how they got the money? If I hadn't used the money for worthwhile ends, do you think it would have stopped those people trafficking in drugs? Stavros also had a cause which he supported, like many of mine. What I did with the money redeemed the way it came. Are you going to help me?
I'm sorry, Ingrid, no.
You think you can buy and sell anything, anyone, don't you? That's all you care about. You know that if they charge me, you'll go down as well?
I've cleared myself, Ingrid. I've told Dalglish everything I know.
You will be detained here overnight, brought before a magistrate in the morning, charged with the murder of Stavros Veludis.
I assure you I did kill Sally Jupp too.
I don't accept that.
You have no evidence to the contrary, have you?
You can take him to the cell now, Sergeant.
Oh, one last thing. I imagine the charge of wasting police time remains.
Well, of course.
For Deborah, too?
Yes.
I see. Well, anyway, look after her, will you?
Sir.
Yes.
Special branch have just come through. Iteraldi has made a full confession and they've arrested Ingrid Graham. But I'm afraid Alexio has done another bunk.
Well, that could be helpful. See which way he jumps. What's that telex?
Now, that's from our Mr. Welsh. He's cracked the Veludis tape. It confirms what we thought. Fortunately, it names names right down to street level, so the drug squad will have a busy time. You putting off the moment?
Yes, I'd like to. You start thinking of excuses, don't you?
Except that if your theory is correct, there's nobody else who could have done it.
Father of all, we pray to thee for those whom we love but no longer see. Grant them thy peace. Let light perpetual shine on them, and work in them the good purpose of thy perfect will. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you both.
He's dead, isn't he?
Yes, Martha. Just now.
And none of you saw fit to tell me, let alone ask me up.
I'm sorry, Martha.
It was all over very quickly, just a few minutes ago.
Yes. Can I go out and see him, please, Mum?
Come with me.
No, just me. It's all the same to you, Mum. I cared for him, you know.
Stephen's with you.
When did I ever take any notice of him?
Hello, Martha. They've told you.
Not a time.
Didn't know any of us were here, believe me.
Even so.
old Denny. I was remembering how he used to love getting up early on a Sunday, chopping wood for a fire. You used to tick him off, Martha.
On the look today, yes. But he wouldn't listen. Bless him.
Why did she pretend not to be married?
Because of my job. The oil company in Venezuela only took on singles. Didn't want the bother and expense of wives. Very commercial over there. Besides, the idea was to save. Me working on the rigs and she having the baby on the cheap through St. Mary's and Sir Reynold Price. Oh, I know it sounds bad, but you do nothing, you hassle.
She carried the pretense too far. If she told us the truth, she might still be alive.
Yeah.
Stephen, this is Mr. Ritchie's.
Yes. Yes, I know, I heard. My father's dead. At last.
Oh, Stephen, I'm sorry. But maybe...
Yes, yes, a merciful release for all concerned, yes.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't need your sympathy.
Stephen!
Your wife. She really led me on, Richie. Cheap little tease.
What the hell are you talking about?
And I think how she pretended to be so innocent, so vulnerable. She agreed to marry me, for God's sake. What the hell was she playing at?
Now, you look here, Maxie. You're talking about someone who's just died, my wife.
That's right. I'm talking about Sally, who cheated on you too, Richie.
You take that back.
Well, why should I? It's true.
Please, both of you, please.
Me?
What's going on? Dr. Maxey? Are you all right?
Not really. Excuse me.
We'll speak in a minute.
Very well.
I'm afraid he asked for it.
Did she really say she'd marry him?
Mr. Ritchie, later.
You've charged Felix with murder.
Yes. Mr. Hurst has confessed to 2 killings. The first of Stavros Voulidis, which we accept. The second of Sally Jupp, which we do not.
Why not?
Because he didn't do it. The only motive would have been if she'd seen him at the book club, and she hadn't.
Why did Felix kill Stavros Voulidis?
Revenge. He was captured by Ioka during the Cypriot troubles and tortured by Voulidis.
Oh.
You knew about it?
Not that it was Cyprus. It said it was somewhere else, Oman. So, who killed Sally?
Well, it was like the great majority of murders, a domestic affair. What we found confusing at first was the apparent premeditation of it.
You mean the fact that she was drugged?
Yes. The medical evidence points to the actual murder being a crime of impulse. Death was due to vagal inhibition and therefore very sudden. It was an unpremeditated attack, which is borne out by the use of hands. A murderer who intends to kill by strangulation usually uses a ligature, which is a scarf or cord or whatever. Sally's killing was amateur. Mr. Hurst found his army training came back to him when he strangled Voulidis, and clearly he would have been capable of killing her.
And you're quite certain that he didn't?
We shouldn't be here otherwise. For a while, we considered your son's proposal of marriage to Sally was a well-planned stratagem. Now we know it was not. He loved her very much.
So he couldn't have killed her?
Oh, yes, he could, but it is unlikely. The murder makes no sense if the drugging and the strangling are connected. The sleeping pills made it easier to kill her, but she wasn't drugged by the murderer. That was done by Martha. We know that now.
Martha?
Yes, she wanted Sally discredited, out of the house.
Oh, Martha.
He wanted her perhaps to oversleep, to appear careless, lazy. Dr. Maxim.
Darling.
It's all right, Mummy. Had a difference of opinion with Sally's husband. I expect the superintendent's explained.
No.
I'm glad you've joined us, Dr. Maxim.
Really? I suppose you realize my father's just died. Or don't you lot care about such things? Recognize normal human feelings.
Stephen, do you think you're helping anyone by being offensive? Don't you ever learn?
Oh, don't let's squabble. If this was a domestic crime, what about Sally's uncle? He's more family than we are.
Oh, yes, and she blackmailed him. She wanted the airfare to Venezuela to join her husband, but he didn't kill her. When he arrived with the money, she was already dead. Her uncle bolted the door from the inside.
So when Catherine came along to talk to her, she couldn't get in?
But then how did her uncle get out?
Well, he climbed out of the window and down the drain pipe.
All right, if you're so damn clever, what about Derek Pullen?
What do you mean?
He was there that night, in the yard outside Sally's room.
Mr. Pullen is entirely innocent. He loved Sally, worshipped her. He acted as a postman between her and her husband.
Oh, just someone else she used.
If you like. When the killer went to her room, Sally was already in bed. She obviously knew the person and wasn't frightened. She didn't even bother to get out or put on a dressing gown.
No, that's right, she didn't. I mean, but we've always assumed that she was strangled in bed and not put there afterwards, haven't we?
Well, we can only guess what happened, can't we? But her death has to be connected with your brother's proposal of marriage that evening. The killer wasn't to know that she had no intention of marrying him.
But then why the hell did she accept his proposal? Oh, she'd have saved us all a great deal of trouble by telling the truth.
She'd have done more than that. She'd have saved her life. Your brother's proposal was just one more complication in the game she was playing. It was a dangerous and silly game. Do you know she was planning to leave the following Tuesday? She enjoyed the idea of taunting you all with the fear that she might soon be part of the family. You see, when the killer entered her room, she lay back happy, contented, amused, feeling that she had you all in her power. Unfortunately for her, she underestimated the force of anger and desperation that the killer felt.
All right. But what does this all amount to? You've got no proof. This is all supposition.
It was when she laughed that I killed her. If she hadn't laughed, she'd be alive now.
Mummy.
No.
I just went to her room to talk to her.
No, don't say another word. It's up to him to bring sufficient evidence. Don't you see, he's tricked us. Made you think it was Deborah or me. You bastard.
Please, Stephen. I want to tell you all what happened. Not to excuse myself, but to explain. I was bound to have to tell you in the end. There was Daddy. I couldn't hurt him. But now... I just went to her room to talk to her. It seemed to me the marriage wouldn't be such a bad thing if she was really fond of you. I just wanted to know how she felt. Because I was tired. Oh, I should have waited until the morning. She was lying in bed. She didn't move or sit up when I went into the room. Everything would have been all right if she hadn't laughed at me. It was such a mocking laugh. And then she said she was only marrying you because she was going to have your child. But it was all so very quick. 1 minute she was alive and laughing, and the next minute she was a dead thing in my hands. Had you made love to her? Was she pregnant?
No.
Oh. Another lie.
Yes.
Poor Sally.
It isn't Sally you should feel sorry for.
But it is. She was a pathetic girl. Superintendent, I'm in your hands.
Would you, John?
Mrs. Maxey, you're not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so. But anything you do say will be put into writing and may be given in evidence.
Good afternoon.
I was working upstairs. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. Is this official? Do you want some?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Milk, sugar?
Just milk, no sugar.
Oh. I didn't expect to see you again.
I brought you this. It's not out yet. Thank you.
For Deborah Risco, with regards, Adam Dalglish. You make words work hard, don't you?
Well, I hope you like it.
Thanks. I haven't read much poetry lately. Can't seem to take it in these days.
I know how you feel.
Do you?
Well, I don't find it easy to write the stuff. How's your mother?
Oh, she doesn't complain. She's very patient. A bit dazed. For a long time, I blamed you.
Well, that's understandable.
I don't blame you anymore.
You've decided to forget all about me, have you?
I tried.
Well, at least that's honest. The verdict of manslaughter was just, I think. Your mother killed her almost by accident, I'm sure of it. If only she confessed straight away, she'd have got off much more lightly.
She was waiting for Daddy to die before confessing.
Oh, yes, I understand that.
I visit her most weeks. She talks about Daddy, Stephen, even you. She never mentions the trial or Sally.
Does she talk about the house?
Yes, sometimes. You know Stephen's determined to keep it.
Are you friends again?
No. It was awkward, my being there. I think he was embarrassed, so I've moved back to London.
Found a flat?
At the moment, I'm sharing, but I'm looking for something on my own.
Oh, on your own?
Oh, absolutely.
When I was a young copper, this area was part of my beat. I used to pass this building. I think it was a warehouse or something like that in those days. And Felix. Well, does he write to you?
Occasionally. He's become very bitter, of course.
I think the sentence was a bit harsh in the circumstances, don't you? Well, the Ministry of Defence weren't very pleased to have their skeletons coming out of the cupboard. Veludis and all that. Tell me, would you have married him?
No.
No.
Well, I think I would.
You were just leaving, of course. I'm sorry to have held you up.
No, that's all right. I'm very glad to have your book.
Whereabouts do you live?
Oh, walking distance on a night like this.
Then I'll walk with you. Is that all right?
Yes. Why not?